Who guarantees this won't happen to you? Every situation you just saw is real. If you're watching this and you're ever ripped off in Korea, I'm genuinely sorry. Most visitors leave Korea with warm memories, but not everyone. Some travelers leave with a bad story. That is exactly why I made this video. Watch this until the end, because after today, whether you get ripped off in Korea or not may depend on whether you watch this video. There are real rip-offs, and then there are situations that feel like rip-offs, but are not. Let's separate them clearly. Let's talk about places like Gwangjang Market. Now listen carefully. Most vendors are honest, but some, especially those targeting tourists, may serve smaller portions to foreigners, charge a different price than what's written, push forward set menus, suddenly say there is a minimum order. Why does this happen? Because tourists are one-time customers. How do you protect yourself? Before ordering, ask clearly, how much exactly? And look around. Compare prices. Check reviews on Neighbor Map. If something feels off, say calmly, no thank you, and walk away. You're not obligated to stay. This is rare, but it exists, especially around airports or major tourist areas like Dongdaemun, Hongdae, or Myeongdong. Here are some red flags to watch out for. Driver refuses to turn on the meter, offers an expensive flat rate, takes a suspiciously long route. Here's an example. A taxi fare from Incheon Airport to Central Seoul should be around 60,000 Korean won. If a driver demands 100,000 won, that's not normal, especially late at night when travelers are tired. Most taxi drivers are honest, but the few bad ones target confusion and exhaustion. Here's a protection. Use KakaoT or Uber. If the meter isn't on, get out immediately. This is not just Korea. This happens globally. Fake Airbnb listings, photos that don't match reality, sudden cleaning fees after check-in. During our world travel, we once arrived at an Airbnb in summer. The listing said there was an air conditioning, but there wasn't. The apartment smelled like cigarettes. We immediately contacted Airbnb and got a refund. So my advice is always use official platforms. Choose hosts with many reviews. Avoid cash deals. Report immediately if something is wrong. This one's pretty obvious, right? But the next rip-off case isn't. In areas like Myeongdong, you might see signs that say, special K-beauty set, only today, limited promotion. It feels exclusive. But here's what sometimes happens. You walk into a small cosmetic shop. A staff member approaches you immediately. They're very friendly, very persuasive. They show you a bundle. Normally, 180,000 won, but today, only 95,000 won. It feels like a huge deal, right? But when you look closely, you may notice the products are older versions. Some are not from well-known brands. Some are private label items you've never heard of. And occasionally, though rare, counterfeit items do circulate in heavily tourist zones. The strategy is simple. Create the feeling that you are getting insider access. But you are not. You are just being sold a high-margin bundle. If you want safety, here's what you should do. Go to department stores. Go to official brand stores. Go to flagship locations inside malls. If it is a major K-beauty brand, it will have an official store presence in places like department stores or large shopping complexes. The price will be fixed, transparent, and most importantly, authentic. Another tip, if someone is pushing you aggressively, if they block your path, if they insist only today repeatedly, that's not how reputable Korean brands operate. You are allowed to say no thank you and walk out. Remember, real brands don't chase customers down the street. Local festivals can be exciting. Street performances, cultural booths, music, crowds. And then you see it, a giant barbecue plate, smoke rising, it looks amazing. The sign says, special festival platter, 50,000 won. You assume it's a festival, Of course, it's a little more expensive. But then the food comes out. The portion feels pretty small. The meat quality feels average. And suddenly you're thinking, wait, did I just get ripped off? Here's what's happening. Many festival vendors operate temporarily. They pay short-term booth rental fees. They have limited time to make profit. There's heavy foot traffic. Most customers are one-time visitors. That creates an environment where pricing can become inflated, especially for flash shareable foods like large barbecue platters or seafood trays. This doesn't mean every festival vendor is dishonest, but it does mean you should be more cautious than usual. Here's how you protect yourself. First, walk around before buying. Don't order from the first stall you see. Compare portion sizes and prices. Second, look at what locals are actually buying. If Korean families are ordering smaller and simpler dishes instead of the big special platter, that tells you something. Third, ask. You can literally ask a Korean nearby, is this price normal? Most people will answer honestly. Remember, just because it's festive doesn't mean it's fairly priced. Now, let's talk about something important. Because sometimes you think you're being ripped off, but actually, you're not. You're watching your KakaoT or Uber app. The map shows you one route. Suddenly, the driver turns somewhere else. Your heart rate goes up. Wait, that's not the route on the app. Panic starts, but relax. App routes are not always optimal in Korea. Korea has heavy real-time traffic that changes minute by minute. Narrow alley shortcuts that don't always appear as a main route. And drivers who have driven the same neighborhood for 20 years. Sometimes the fastest route is not the one your app first suggested. Open neighbor map and check. Compare the routes. Look at the traffic colors. If you see long red lines, heavy congestion, and your driver is clearly avoiding them, that's a good sign. Also, use common sense. Is a car generally moving towards your destination? Are you getting closer on the map? Or are you going in the opposite direction for no clear reason? There is a difference between a smart detour and a suspicious detour. A smart detour, you avoid traffic, you arrive faster. The final fare is similar to the estimate. A suspicious detour, no traffic visible, long unnecessary loops, meter rising unusually fast. Most of the time in Korea, it's the first scenario. Drivers are trying to save time, not inflate your bill. The key is this: don't react emotionally in the first 30 seconds. Observe, compare, and think. Because in many cases, he's not scamming you. He is helping you get there faster. In some local markets, you may be told minimum 2 portions, no single serving. And immediately you might think, is this because I'm a foreigner? No, it's not discrimination. Koreans, like myself, get the exact same rule. In traditional markets, food is often prepared in bulk. Ingredients are portioned in advance. Dishes are designed for sharing. Pricing assumes more than one person at the table. So selling one very small portion simply doesn't fit the structure. Now, let's talk about Korean barbecue restaurants. Many of them require at least 2 portions of meat. And some don't accept solo diners at all during peak hours. Why? Because the business model is built around group dining. Revenue doesn't just come from the meat. It often comes from drinks, side dishes, and time spent at the table. A single diner occupies the same table space as 2 people, but generates half the revenue. From a business perspective, especially in the busy areas, that matters. It's not about your nationality, it's about turnover and margins. So how do you tell the difference between discrimination and standard policy? Look around. Are Korean customers also ordering 2 portions? Are there signs posted in Korean stating minimum 2 orders? If the rule applies to everyone, it's not a ripoff. It's simply how that establishment operates. It's just a different dining culture. This surprises many foreigners. In many Korean cafes, 1 person, 1 drink required. It's not targeting you, foreigner. It applies to Koreans like myself too. It's about table turnover and space usage. If you don't like it, just choose another cafe. But understand, it's not a scam. Small market vendors sometimes refuse cards, not because you're foreign, because credit card fees hurt their margins. Even I withdraw cash before going to traditional markets. If all Koreans are paying cash too, it's not suspicious. It's their system. You didn't order this dish. Why is it here? Are they charging me later? No. In Korea, service means free, complimentary, side dishes, extra items, sometimes even whole menu items. Wow. No restaurant in Korea secretly charges you for something they gave without asking. You can relax. Here's the truth. Korea is not scam-free, but it is not a scam-heavy country either. There are CCTVs everywhere, strong card payment systems, powerful online reviews, a deep cultural concern for reputation. Tourist traps create exceptions though. That's why I always say, don't chase tourist traps. Chase authentic local experiences. The places we introduce in this channel in our videos, ebooks, and custom planning services are carefully selected. Clear prices, transparent menus, warm people. Whether you stay for 5 days or 5 months, I genuinely want you to leave Korea with beautiful memories, not regret. That's why I made this video. If this helped you, share it. Because the difference between being ripped off and being prepared is knowledge. And now you are prepared.